What does God have to say about piercings and tattoos? Let's pour some coffee on it. Hello, Father Brad here, and you're watching Coffee Talk, where we drink coffee and talk about Jesus and apparently body art. So a lot of people have questions about tattoos. The stereotypical image of the holy person does not include tattoos in some people's minds or piercings, unless they're right here, and then they're okay with it. But we all know that stereotypes aren't necessarily fully true. So what does God, the church, morality have to say about tattoos and piercings? It's not going to be black and white. I know everyone wants things to be locked in black and white. It's not going to be that. Usually the truth is in a more beautiful, complex tension between two extremes, or in the middle. So let's go. Let's go to Scripture. Some people who don't like tattoos point to Leviticus as a directive against it. It says this in Leviticus: "Do not cut your bodies for the dead, or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord." I love that. I am the Lord. Boom. We need context here. In this part of Leviticus, God is specifically talking to them about practices relating to pagan cultures in which someone would die, and out of despair and mourning, they would mutilate themselves, legitimately cut themselves, bloodlet, and the tattoos had to do with despair or mourning to the point of not understanding the resurrection or that God is in control. Basically, these tattoos were associated with pagan cults. And so obviously, Yahweh, the God of the Israelites, was like, hey, yeah, don't participate in those rituals that include tattoos when it comes to mourning the dead. And don't have despair over those who died. Is this necessarily a prohibition against any tattoos or any piercings that are seemingly permanent? No, obviously not. So it's a little more complicated. So let's go. Number one, the morality of tattoos. It depends on, should you get a tattoo? It depends on what the tattoo is saying. Should it be the F word? Probably not. Should it be a naked person, like pornography? No, don't do that. Don't tattoo that on your arm. Should it be Kermit the Frog eating a hamburger? I mean, probably not, unless that's super important to you. Basically, don't make the tattoo. A tattoo shouldn't be something offensive or pagan or against God or against your human dignity or someone else's human dignity. It also shouldn't really be frivolous because it's permanent. It's a permanent thing. So it should be about something that is permanent. Should you get your girlfriend, your freshman year girlfriend that you met at orientation, her name tattooed on your chest? Probably not, because you're probably not going to get married to that person. It should be something more permanent. What lasts forever? Our souls. Jesus Christ, as Scripture said, lasts forever. So I think as Christians, the most appropriate thing, if you were to get a tattoo, to get would be something about those things that are consistent and permanent. Love, sacrifice, the Lord Himself, His sacrifice for us. Also, this is super cool. The Coptic Christians of Egypt, they're super persecuted right now, and their numbers are shrinking. But there's a long, centuries-old tradition of Coptic Christians in the Middle East, in Egypt, getting tattoos on their wrist right here, to show their commitment to Christianity. Especially in recent years, because of persecution, it's become almost a protest or a sign, a desire to say, I'm speaking out loud, even on my body. I tattooed it on my body. My commitment to Christ. It's been a new thing, people getting their rings tattooed on their fingers. I can see that as very similar, right? A permanent decision to bind oneself to another person. And I can't even take it off. So even Christians have done that in history. Now, you have to ask yourself the question, if you're thinking about getting a tattoo, or if that's something you're into, really sit down, take a breath, pray about it. Ask yourself the question, is this an outgrowth of my identity in relationship to God? Or is it replacing something? Is it filling a hole that's not being filled somewhere else? I think the fascination, or one of the fascinations with tattoos, I mean, I don't have one, but talking to friends who do, and is the permanence. That it's something permanent, especially in our culture, which doesn't have a lot of permanence. You know, a lot of marriages have broken up. Everything's changing. People move very consistently in our culture from place to place. We lack a permanence, and it's some deep desire of the human heart to have something forever. Like, I make a decision and it's going to be that, and it will never change. And people can replace God with these things like tattoos or body piercings. When they lack permanence, they want to grasp onto that permanence, and they become addicted to it, and they place that as an idol in front of God. So you have to ask yourself that question. If that's the case, then maybe rethink your approach to tattoos. Now let's talk about piercings. Similarly, the acceptability of piercing is a cultural construct. Right? If you actually think about it. Just sit down, have an out-of-body experience, and look at this. Like, we put holes in your ears. We already got a hole in our ear. And you put more holes in your ears. That's cool. I'm cool with it. But it's a cultural construct. The reason why everyone, even everyone's grandma, is cool with this is because it's part of the cultural development. And it's seen as okay in society. That's cool. So there's nothing intrinsically wrong with a hole here, or here, right, or here. But there's nothing culturally, intrinsically immoral about piercings, unless it's done to the point of mutilation of the body, or, again, hiding your own identity or taking the place of something. In fact, piercings have a scriptural foundation. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 16, God is expressing his love for Israel in a nuptial way. He's saying, I'm the bridegroom, you're the bride. And this is what he says. I adorn you with jewelry. I put bracelets on your arms and a necklace around your neck. So this is God talking to Israel. And I put a ring on your nose and earrings on your ears and a beautiful crown on your head. In Judaism, those who are getting married would wear Jerusalem on their head as a crown. And they would wear fine clothing. They became basically king and queen for a day. They wore necklaces, and you saw this? A ring in their nose. A nose ring in the Old Testament, in Semitic culture, is actually a symbol for marriage. You would get a nose ring when you're married. So I say, the next couple I marry, you're not going to exchange rings for your fingers, you're going to exchange nose rings. Wouldn't that be romantic? No, but for real, there's scriptural foundations for nose rings, and it's so profound. It's right in the middle of the very foundation of humanity and love, marriage. And so there's not something intrinsically wrong with nose rings. You just got to make sure that these things, piercings, tattoos, anything that, especially that's permanent, that adorns us, they're supposed to beautify us. We have to make sure that it does just that and doesn't cover us to the point of destroying who we are, our identity, or replacing God.